Let's go through all the books I've read in April and whether I would recommend them to you. Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing amazing. So it's that time. It's another monthly wrap up and this time it's April. So again, I've not done too well on my April TBR. I managed to read 3 out of the 5. It's terrible, I know. It's just been a busy month with the move and, well, to be fair, it's just been a busy month with the move and whatnot. And actually, I don't think I've been reading as much as what I have done in previous months. And the 2 books I didn't get around to are actually my fantasy books. And that was Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole and Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I'm actually really upset as well because I really wanted to read Spark of the Everflame. Like, I just think that's going to be right up my street. But I know for a fact I'm going to be reading that in June because I will be doing a buddy read with one of my book talk besties. So I'm super excited to read that then. If you do find yourself enjoying this video or maybe finding out that we have similar taste, it would mean so much to me if you could like and even subscribe if you fancy it. I also want to say thank you so much. We hit 100 subscribers. Absolutely boggles my mind. Like, I can't believe it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So glad to have you here. I just love talking about books and it's just so nice to have an outlet, speak to you guys and yeah, just yap away like right now. So let's roll on to our April reading wrap up. I have all the books that I've read in this little basket. It only fits 5 and I have my May TBR in, I've got like a bigger basket, it's like medium size, but I don't think it's the greatest use of space. So I don't know what I can put in this basket. So I don't really know what to do. So if anyone's got any ideas, I don't really want to put a plant in there, but I'm not really creative enough to be like, oh, you should put this and that. And I don't really just want it to be like a storage where I just put odd bits in, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I'll just make that a mess. So yeah, again, any ideas for these baskets? I know that's super random. So the first book I read in April, which was actually a carry-on from my March TBR, I believe, and that is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. And I gave this one 3.5 stars. I was a little bit conflicted about this one, but we have got Zara and Rowan. Rowan is basically this big boss of Dreamland, which is basically a knockoff Disney World. And then we've got Zara, who is basically just a mere employee that, you know, it works at the boutique where they make, you know, young girls princesses and boys princes, etc. And one day there's like this team meeting and Zara comes in all clumsy, you know, drops things on the floor, but Rowan has immediately taken to her. So Rowan decides to make Zara an innovator, where they are kind of designing new concept for rides, lands, etc. Which means Zara is actually seeing a lot more of Rowan, but maybe Rowan is deliberately trying to see Zara, so their paths cross a little bit more. And obviously this is a romance, so it goes from there. What I loved about this book absolutely was the setting. I am a self-diagnosed Disney adult. Not one of those really intense ones, but I just love going to the parks. It makes me happy. I wear the minis, etc. I love it. I eat it up. So much so that I'm actually going to Disney World this month and I can't wait. But regardless, I love the setting. I didn't know if I would like it or hate it. Like, I didn't know, because it is very clearly a knockoff Disney World. So I didn't know if I'd get a bit like, not angry, but you know, it's just like, oh, they're just copying this, they're just copying that. But actually, I quite enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I do know a lot about Disney and I do think she's done her research, which I did appreciate. This is a millionaire trope. I don't think I like millionaire tropes. I don't know, millionaires don't really do much for me. And also it's a grumpy sunshine. So if you like those tropes, then this one might be up your street. Talking about the characters, I loved Zara. I thought she was great. She was very happy. You could see her character arc. And I love the fact that it was a female being an innovator. I know that sounds really silly. There are so many females that are in male-dominated spaces, but it's always nice to read about, isn't it? But Rowan is a walking red flag to the point where I just could not get on board with him. Like, honestly, Zara deserves so much better. But I just find it insane that this is supposed to be like a book boyfriend. He's a walking red flag, especially, and maybe this is a spoiler, so, you know, you can skip 10 seconds, but especially because he blames Zara for him falling for her. Make that make sense. It's not Zara's fault you find her attractive and like her personality. It's yours. And it was just a bit toxic for me. I will say as well, there is diverse representation in here, which I really like. And I love how it shows that people with disabilities can be in the workplace and actually exceed at their jobs. I also feel like I liked the plot more than the romance. And considering this is a romance book, I had to take points away from that. You know, but overall, like, I would recommend, especially if you do like, you know, Grumpy Sunshine romance. I think if you love Disney, you will appreciate this and tie it back to Disney World or Disneyland. But I think the plot did carry it and the romance just felt a little bit lackluster for me. This is the first in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I do have numbers 2 and 3 to go. I will obviously carry on with it. I think the second one is Terms and Conditions. I will carry on with it. I've heard that Terms and Conditions is actually the best out of the bunch, so I am excited to read that, but I'm not like gagging to go on to the next one, you know. I'm fine having a little break from this series. The next book I read was Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, and I gave this one 4 stars. This was my first Ashley Poston book and will not be my last. I did also do a reading vlog on this book, so I won't talk too much about this because I did say quite a bit in that vlog. So for this one, I would say it is a kind of contemporary romance. We've got Joni, and she is a songwriter. She's not a singer-songwriter, she just writes the songs, and she is very good at her job. So she has wrote this bestseller of a hit for this famous popular artist, and that artist is going on tour. So she invites Joni along to basically see her on tour, see her work, but she has given Joni a box, you know, one of those big premium, high at the top, you know, expensive boxes. But when she goes there is one more person sitting in the box, and that is none other than Sebastian Fell, and he is the son of a famous rocker in the 80s, and he himself is now in a band that is doing quite well. Regardless, their first meet up, he loves himself a little bit egotistical, and they don't start on the best foot. But it turns out that this interaction actually has more consequences, and somehow they are now in each other's head. So Joni can hear Sebastian, Sebastian can hear Joni. So while they're in each other's heads, they hear this same melody that has not been heard before. So they decide that the way to fix this problem is to write a song together. I actually really enjoyed this. I haven't heard the best reviews of Sound Like Love as well. A lot of people say that this is not Ashley Poston's best work, which I have heard the 7 Year Slip is supposed to be absolutely amazing. I do have that on my Kindle and I do need to read that soon. But I just love this. I will say Sebastian, he does have a man bun. I love a man bun, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it was emotional as well. There is kind of a family issue going on, which I'm not going to give spoilers for, but that was very emotional. But what I will say is I would have liked a little bit more depth into that issue, how that affects people, you know, etc. I feel like that was not glossed over, but we could have explored that a hell of a lot more. Our characters, I really enjoyed our characters. Sebastian, I like Sebastian. You just knew the arcs that each of our characters are going to go through, you know. While this is quite a short book at around 350 pages, I did feel like the first 100 pages were a tiny bit slow. I would have liked maybe to see more of their telepathic connection or just something. I feel like the first 100 pages, we weren't really getting into any meat and bones of anything, but at the same time, I was still hooked. I was still reading it, but I just think the reason why it's not a 5-star is I don't think Joni and Sebastian's connection was explored enough, and I think we could have started that a little bit earlier in the book, say around the 50-page mark, as opposed to 100-page, 120-page mark. But overall, I would absolutely recommend. I was hooked. I read it so quickly. I actually done this as a buddy read with Leah on Book Talk, and it was just so much fun. So one I would highly recommend. This is a contemporary romance as opposed to a cute, fluffy romance, which I absolutely prefer, but just in case you do like your romances more on the fluffy side. But yeah, overall 100% recommend. So the next book I read was Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall, and I gave this one 4 stars. I went into this book knowing absolutely nothing other than it was a literary fiction mixed with kind of mystery genre. Other than that, I knew absolutely nothing, and actually I suggest you do the same because I think it actually hit so much more. I will say a brief synopsis, so feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to hear it, because this is kind of pot kettle black right now, isn't it? Me giving you a synopsis when I'm saying going in blind. But we have got a few timelines, I think 3. We have got kind of before, we have got present, which is actually in 1968, I want to say, and then we've got the trial. So the mystery part is that someone has been murdered and we don't actually know who's been murdered, who's done it, and what the circumstances of this murder is. So the before is about Beth and Frank, and basically when they were younger, I think they were like teenagers, I want to say around 16, 17, I could be lying, and it was basically how they met, how they formed a relationship, and just their teenage years. They were together for kind of a whirlwind summer until something happens and breaks them apart. And then we've got the present timeline, and Beth is happily married with a family until Gabriel comes back on the scene. And I think that's all I'm going to say. So first off, I want to say Clare Leslie Hall's writing just captivated me. I could not stop reading. It is only a thin book. It's 300 pages, but I could not stop turning these pages. I think as well, the way Clare executed the timelines, jumping from present to before and then to the trial, just flowed so perfectly, and to the point where you just had to keep reading on. So that I absolutely applaud. Also, I think this is a debut novel. I don't know if I'm lying there. I'm sure I heard that this is a debut novel. I could be lying, but if this is a debut novel, oh my God, I'm so excited to see what her next book is. I mean, regardless, even if it's not a debut, I'm still going to be picking up her next book. Now, I would say to enjoy this, you would have to enjoy literary fiction. If you go in thinking that this is just kind of thriller mystery genre, it's not. It relies heavily on literary fiction. We do get the backstory, we get to see a lot of their relationships, how they formed, how they are currently. It's not a thriller where there is like a twist and turn on every page. Yes, you're trying to figure out what has happened because you don't actually get the answers until about the 80% mark, which again, I actually really appreciated, and it does make you keep guessing. I would say it's 30% mystery / thriller. I don't even know if I'd say thriller. I would say it's 30% mystery, 70% literary fiction, which I think works perfectly for me. I love that. I am a literary fiction girly. Now, the plot, I did actually get one of the twists. I don't think it was obvious, but I just had a little inkling in my head, but I didn't get the whole entirety of, you know, the who, what, when, etc. So it still had a little bit of a shock factor in it for me. The characters, I quite like unlikable characters, but I feel like with these, I didn't really like their actions. Our main character, Beth, I can't say that she was likable. I can't say she was unlikable, but I think because she just made some very questionable actions, which I don't agree with, I wasn't really rooting for her. The same with Gabriel as well. I mean, the only person I am rooting for is Frank. And Frank has just had such a disservice in this book. I love Frank and he deserves so much better. But again, if you don't like unlikable characters in your books, this might not be for you. I don't know though, because it's not like they are full pelt unlikable. They just make very questionable decisions. So I guess it's down to personal opinions, whether they are likable or unlikable, because each person will look at circumstances different, if that makes sense. But overall, I would highly, highly recommend, especially if you love literary fiction. It has got a lot of hype around it recently. I do think it's justifiable. I do think it's worth it. And if this is on your radar, I would highly suggest that you pick it up. So the next book I read was The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. And I gave this one 4 stars. I am so pleasantly surprised about this. I haven't heard the best reviews, and I'm not sure why. I absolutely ate this one up. As the title suggests, we are basically investigating the reappearance of Rachel Price. This is done in a documentary style. So we've got a group of British documentary makers, which I don't actually understand why they were British, and I don't understand why this was set in America, because I believe Holly Jackson is British, but I guess maybe she wants to tap into her US audience, which I understand. But I don't know why they made the documentary makers British, but regardless. But it starts off that actually Rachel has disappeared, and quite early on, obviously the title, I'm not giving anything away, but quite early on, Rachel suddenly reappears. So our main character, Belle, is actually Rachel's daughter, and she is thinking, there is something fishy here. Why she suddenly turned up the moment that we were filming about her disappearance, and now she wants to play Happy Families. We are basically just exactly that, investigating her disappearance. So this one is quite a chunky one, and look at that writing. It's so tiny, but I flew through it. I just could not put this book down. And considering Belle, our main character, I didn't again find her quite likable. I found her quite bratty. I found her quite annoying, but it didn't put me off carry on reading. Although this book is over 400 pages long, even though I flew through it, the pacing I did feel was very off. The first half was very slow, and while the second half, especially maybe the last quarter, was just bam, 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 so much happening. There is plenty of twists and turns that happen. One of them I did get on pretty early on, but I think it was quite blatantly obvious, and I don't know if it's maybe because it's a YA, it was meant to be obvious, I don't really know. But speaking of it being YA, it didn't feel too childish, which again, I can appreciate. I think as well, there is a very small romance in this book. I just don't think that was needed. I don't know. I feel like my rating maybe would have bumped up a little bit more if that weren't even in the book. I just felt like, not cheapened, that seems really mean, but I think it lessened the value, which is basically cheapened, but just lessened the value of the book a bit. I mean, this isn't a romance book. Like, you didn't need to plug that in. I was just so hooked on the investigating of the reappearance. It just wasn't needed. I love the concept that it was kind of a documentary. Even though there was no mixed media, it did give that mixed media feel. Overall, I would definitely recommend, especially if you are just looking for a standalone mystery thriller, which might be quite rare, especially because obviously Holly Black, she's got Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. If you enjoyed that series, I think definitely pick this up. You will enjoy this. I do think Belle and Pip are similar-ish in a way. I just felt like Belle was a more hardcore version of Pip, and I think maybe that's why I couldn't get on board with Belle, because I just kind of wanted her own personality to come through, and she didn't really have much. But overall, absolutely would recommend. The final book I read in April was Swept Away by Beth O'Leary, and I rated this one 3 stars. This was a little bit of a letdown for me, but do you know what? It is my own fault, because it just has tropes in here I absolutely hate, which is, again, spoiler, maybe skip 10 seconds if you don't want to know tropes, but it's insta-love. It is insta-love at its peak in this book, and I wasn't on board on it. But it does say on the front, lost at sea with your one night stand. So I should have known what I was getting myself into. So the synopsis is exactly that. We've got Zeke and Lexi. Zeke is actually younger. I think he's 22 or 23, and Lexi is 31. So it's kind of like a reverse age gap, which I don't like age gap, you know. I wasn't super keen on this. Age gap just doesn't do much for me at all. I find it a little bit creepy, if I'm being honest, because I know this is strange, but I look at it as in the older person was, like in this case, I know they're not real people, but like I look at it as like Lexi was 8 when Zeke was born. I know that's so weird, but I just can't get on board with age gaps, and that's why I'm sorry. But regardless, they have a one night stand, and they both go on this houseboat that they think is theirs, and somehow they get lost at sea. Obviously, this is a romance book, so being lost at sea on a houseboat, not even a ship, just a small little houseboat, I should have known it was going to be instant love. And I didn't. I just picked it up anyway. I think I picked it up because of the cover. It is honestly gorgeous. Also, though, I read a Goodreads review, and it articulated what I was feeling perfectly, and it was one small sentence, and that sentence was constantly chasing a Beth O'Leary high like the flat share. And I think that's me. Whoever said that, you got my thoughts to a T. First book I read of Beth O'Leary was A Flat Share. That was a 5-star read. I would be interested to read that now, if that would still be a 5-star read though, because I read that about 6 years ago, quite a while. So I don't know if my taste had changed a bit, but I, for some odd reason, just think Beth O'Leary is like an amazing storyteller. And her books have been fine. other than The Flat Share, which I loved, but her other books have just been fine, okay, you know? And I don't know why I keep gravitating towards Beth when actually her books are just okay. I think she has some sort of hold over me. Regardless, what I did like about this book is I love a sea setting. I don't know why, because I'm not a lover of the sea myself, but I love a sea setting, being lost at sea, being isolated. I don't know, it gives me the thrills and I love it. So I love that aspect of this book. I will say with Beth as well, give her a due. You would think being lost at sea I think they were lost at sea for 12 days. I, in my head, was thinking, what could Beth possibly write that would keep us entertained for a book of them being lost at sea for 12 days? She done it. She did really do it. I was entertained. Was some of the things silly? Yes. Did I keep on reading? Yes. The characters, Zeke and Lexi, I did actually prefer Zeke over Lexi in this book. I felt like he had more growth as a character than Lexi. Lexi I found a bit of a whinger. I don't know, maybe because she's old. She's 31 just like me. Maybe it's because, maybe I can see myself in Lexi because we just whinge a lot, but I don't know. I couldn't really get on board with Lexi. So again, the characters were just okay, nothing spectacular. I won't remember them at all in a month's time, you know? And I feel like that might be this book as a whole. Like, yes, I remember there was a book about being lost at sea, but will I remember the actual plot points in there? No. But I do just think the main problem is insta-love. I hate it. I just don't believe you can love someone after 3 days. I can't. And if you took a shot for every time they said they loved each other, in 3 days, actually, that's a lie. Maybe like towards the end of the days, maybe like day 8 to day 12. I love her, I love her, I love him, I love him. Do you really? Do you really? And I know maybe if you're just like forced with one person, you will start to get feelings for them, etc. Then you'll come back to earth when you are rescued, etc. And you think, actually, no, that's just mind tricks happening. But no, in this book, they loved each other from like day dot. And I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Overall, I think if tropes don't actually bother you, you will enjoy this, especially like insta love. If you don't mind insta love, go for it. Is this a fun read? I mean, yes, it's quite emotional at times as well, which I like. I like my romance with a little bit of emotion. I laughed quite a bit, and this isn't a comedy. So yeah, I don't know if I'm the right target audience for this book. If you like your romances, I would say give it a go. The cover is beautiful, so I don't know whether to donate this or not. But then actually, I think I will, because I only want books that I absolutely love, and I didn't love this. But also, I think I prefer the American cover to the UK cover. So even though I finished the month off with just a 3-star rating, it wasn't a terrible book where it had me like rolling my eyes, etc. The tropes weren't for me. And that is it for my April reading wrap up. I would love to know, have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? What did you rate them? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Also, how was your April for reading? What was your best read of the month? What was your worst read of the month? I would just love to know all the tea. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Once again, thank you for 100 subscribers. On that note, again, if you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. It really does help out so much, and I just appreciate every single one of you. I'm gonna leave this video here, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye.